And we're back and we're live. This is the This Week in Coverage podcast. This is the podcast where we go over some of the heavy news articles that occurred in fintech, insurtech, any other kind of tech, insurance that we found in Coverager. I am Nick Lamparelli. I'm in podcasting headquarters in Naples, Florida. My co-host, as usual, is Avi, who's in Coverager headquarters in New York City. And who is this person? She's back from assignment.
Yeah.
Back from assignment. Shefi is back, also in the other Coverager headquarters in New York City. So Shefi, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Avi, good. Happy Friday.
Hello, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Again, so this is the podcast where we discuss news articles, and this was a juicy week. Some really good stuff. I think we're going to have some good conversation. So I'll kick it over to Shefi for our news item number one. What is it?
Brown & Brown acquiring Coverhound. So Coverhound has been in business for 20 years, and I think similar, Abby did a really nice piece on the zebra, which was not promotional, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. If we do promote something, it's under the sponsored newsletter. It was just a good story. Anyway, so Brown & Brown acquired Coverhound, and I think with Coverhound, everybody probably knows, right? This is an insurance aggregator, personal lines, business lines. They do have another sub-brand called Cyber Policy, which they initially launched for cyber insurance, but it also includes commercial and business insurance. And Coverhound, like Compare.com and the Zebra, in a sense, on the personal line front, it is an insurance aggregator. And what do I think about it? So obviously, we don't know the acquisition cost. It was undisclosed. What we do know about Brown & Brown is that it's the sixth largest independent broker in the U.S. And when I think about Brown & Brown, obviously they know acquisitions very well, but the thing with acquisitions is they will acquire companies and let them be, or acquire companies and kind of swallow them. This can't work with Coverhound. So you got to fuel Coverhound, because this isn't necessarily a company that has been successful competing with the changing landscape, right? So we've got in the insurance aggregator space, we've got exact competition from like companies, and then you've got different kind of companies that are emerging, like Gabby and Jerry, and these two are becoming competitors on the personal line front, right? Commercial is a different story. So I'm not entirely convinced that Brown & Brown will know what to do with Coverhound. Obviously, I think that Brown & Brown is looking at Lockton. Lockton has Milo, so for them, Coverhound is going to be the Milo equivalent of Lockton. And Lockton, by the way, or Milo, I should say, just filed a Form D for $11 million. They've previously, two years ago, they raised $28 million. So, obviously with insurance, it's very much a Me Too industry. You see something there and you kind of want it, and you're copying a strategy. I don't know.
Howdy.
I'm not a believer.
So, again, it's a company that, kind of was standing still. You look at their traffic numbers, decline in employees, unlike the Zebra and Policy Genius and Gabby and Jerry, they weren't growing. And I don't know if they were putting much of an effort. You look at their organic presence on Google, you look at their traffic numbers. So if you're not able to compete organically, like EverQuote, for example, then you compete on display and you put your ads everywhere. But we covered the Zebra. We did a story. It is such a broken process, the whole model. Yes, it is better for consumers to go through the Zebra, to go through Coverhound, and not have to go to Geico, go to State Farm, Allstate, Progressive, put their information all over again and again. But it is not a great experience. And at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is that if the price is not good, if there are no savings, you're not going to sell. Now, this is a point that we should talk about, because in the UK, where the model works perfectly for comparison sites, what are they complaining about? They are complaining about consumers forgetting to compare. They always tell consumers, don't forget to compare, because if you forget to compare, you will not save. So they're trying to encourage people to compare more often. Now, the people that have it in them to compare every 6 months, they'll find the provider. And they're probably not going to find Coverhound because Coverhound is not advertising. They don't have that organic presence. So again, EverQuote, all these Media Alpha and Quinn Street and all these other companies. So I don't know. They weren't really competing, and I can understand, the acquisition from a digital perspective. And as Shefi said, sometimes you buy a company just for the capabilities, and a lot of times these acquisitions is basically, okay, let us get our hands on a digital company that has software engineers, has product people, and they'll do the work for us. And in a lot of sense, CoverWallet was kind of, I would think, what it was for Aon. It was more of a technology company that can build things fast and experiment, and not necessarily because of the policies that it sold and their book of business. But it's really it's a interesting
It's a challenging
space.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at compare.com. Again, it's another company that was doing better than it is today. That's how I'm going to put it. The advantage of Coverhound is that it is personal and commercial lines. So Brown & Brown has a lot to work with. Again, does Brown & Brown have the capabilities to go ahead and take and give Coverhound what it needs to compete against Policy Genius, NerdWallet, everybody that is eyeing the insurance space? Do they have the right partners? Do they have the right carrier partners that will go ahead and offer a price that makes sense? I mean, so we'll see.
And an important thing to consider, and this is when we were talking to the Zebra, in their view, they're not competing with insurance companies. They're competing with Google. They're telling the carrier, listen, you want to qualify a specific user, you want to reach a specific user, do it through us. We'll tell you if they have a claim, we'll tell you the car, we'll tell you where they live. So instead of just putting your ads on Google and not knowing who is going to click and then not converting because it wasn't a fit, they're telling companies, go through us. We have organic presence. We're working with Google as well. We'll do it. Of course, it's a trap because once, the Zebra becomes big, and the same for Policy Genius, they're going to have a lot of power. And then, it's kind of going to be a challenge for other insurance companies. Geico, of course, Progressive, State Farm, Allstate, I don't think they're going to let that happen. And, they're playing on both sides. They're working here, but they're also full steam ahead with their own efforts, because they want to create confusion. They want to create chaos. We've talked about this. At the end of the day, when you don't get a good experience at Coverhound, Jerry, or Gabby, you're going to go to the top four. And that is what these companies want. They want a, 1 in a 4 chance to get you. And they will get you eventually, because the average consumer is probably not going to go to State Auto to do a quote on State Auto. Probably not. That's not the top choice. So this is really the battle. But, again, just it is a broken process, but it's broken by design. It is a better process for consumers, but it's not a great model for Coverhound, and it's a very challenging model. And we'll see if they push more effort and try to get it to work again.
Well, it's an easily covered model, copied model. Sorry.
That is
right.
Right.
Like it's an aggregator, right? They're essentially acting as a broker. They can sell. I saw QBE and a handful of other companies. Like I don't want to make it sound easy and just say anyone can do that, but it can be copied, and it is being copied in other forms. And so I don't think there are any business dynamics where there's like a network effect where you can lock that in, right? Like, you can go to an aggregator and get a quote, and there's no loyalty there, right? And so a different aggregator can get you at some other time. And so an aggregator is essentially a type of insurance agency, and they're going to have to spend money on marketing to get people to come through the funnel. It's not like a disruptive technology. So I think from my perspective, from Brown & Brown, I see there could be synergies there. Like you said, maybe they're copying their competitors who are looking to bring technology in, and Brown and Brown can think of it as like, we're going to use Coverhound and expand that so that our entire workforce, our entire the carriers that we represent, we're going to be able to deliver some sort of digital experience with our customers and potentially our new customers. So I could see that as synergistic to both. Plus, it's better deal, I think, for Coverhound immediately, because immediately they could have Brown and Brown agents funneling business through that channel. Like that business is already there, so they could just tell their agents, hey, go get a quote from Coverhound, because there could be a policy form or a carrier we're not doing business with that we might be able to get a better deal. So I don't know we don't know what the price is on it, so I don't know about valuation.
If they do that, I think Coverhound has no chance. If they don't take Coverhound and look at Coverhound's strategy by product, by line of business, and judge the competitors only around a single product, then they're going to continue with the same state of this Coverhound cyber policy all in one. Let's have agents use it, and that's not the goal. The goal is for, if you want to be digital, then you need to focus on the customer that's going through the internet, not finding you through the agent. The agent knows how to close a deal. You need to compete against those that are, picking up customers through Google. That's the only way they're going to learn something new. That's my take. And I do think that Coverhound has lost a considerable amount of time going after cyber insurance, for instance.
Yeah, and they haven't changed their quote flow from if I remember correctly, at least 4 years. Last time I checked, exactly the same. And again, you wonder.
They do have a nice quote flow, though. Really,
I think it's a little. It seems to me a little outdated, like kind of like the 2000 or maybe like the 1990s with the gray. I get the Coverhound, I understand, but again, it doesn't seem that they've put a lot of effort. And to be successful with this model, you need to put a lot of effort because, as I said, you need to have a good SEO. That's where people go to compare. Now you're up against Progressive, Geico. They also compete. Media Alpha, Queen Street.
So it gets back to Avi. It's just, even if they win, they lose, because it's going to be so expensive for them to get get leads through the funnel that even if they bind this business, they'll never be able to justify the customer acquisition costs over the long term.
And the Zebra is a good story of becoming profitable. And personally, I'm not a big fan of what the Zebra does because it's not that it's fair or not fair. I believe that if you can close the business, then get your commission. I'm not a big fan of clicks, even if it's the customer clicking and knowing that he's going to Geico or Progressive. So they profit from both models. They can bind the business, put it on their book of business, and they make money from the referral. I'm not a big fan of that, but they've done it. And one of the reasons they've become successful and profitable is the quality mix of the customer. All of a sudden, the standard customers, the preferred customers, were watching TV and we're saying, why not compare car insurance? Like, why not? And instead of the non-standard, those that are hard to close because of who knows what, credit score and violations and so many other things. So just because of that, so the model was there, but it was attracting the different type of customer. Yeah. And for that, you're going to have to find these customers and make sure they come, because they may not be searching for you on Google. So that's where it starts to be expensive. The Zebra benefited with the pandemic and TV rates going down, and but obviously they've been working hard and changing the product and putting some more effort. But it's a lesson that it really is up to the client mix, the customer base, and you really need to be able to get that customer. And judging by past years, Coverhound was not successful at doing that.
Yeah, I'm. You guys have convinced me over time now. To me, any of these companies that I look at, anyone that shows up on Coverager or gets any sort of publicity, the first thing I'm looking at is how much is it costing them? How are they getting in front of customers, and how much is it costing them to get a customer on the books? And it is so problematic that I think that is the single biggest issue, I think, now in InsurTech, is these companies come in and it's, we're gonna spend a ton to get this book, great, but there's a lot of these VCs are like, they want like a Google or an Uber, and there's nothing enduring about that model, right? You as soon as you start raising prices on them, you're running the risk you're going to lose them. And like Avi said, they're going to watch the TV and say, wait a second, how much am I paying? Like, it is so difficult to have loyalty in insurance. Maybe insurance companies don't deserve to be a consumer facing brand.
They do not.
Maybe you're right.
They do not. But again, it's really the battle, as I see it, is between the big guys, the Geicos, the Progressives, and companies now shaping to be the Zebra and Policy Genius. Of course, Jerry and Gabby, they're doing well. That is where the battle is, and all the rest that cannot, like, if I'm a Coverhound partner and I'm like an American Family where I can barely make it Google's first page, I'm telling Coverhound, what the hell are you doing? Start promoting, like, we need you, and support the business, because, guess who's on the Zebra? Geico and Progressive. So they're going to be everywhere. If you're struggling and you have a struggling partner, struggle together to be better, You need that. Yeah.
So I'll build on that, right? Because the other side of this is that you have a strong partner, and rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if Brown & Brown takes Coverhound and breaks it down into products, and forget starting with the customer, because the customer isn't not loyal to you in any way. Let's start with the product. Then you're going to see what kind of partnerships or alternative distribution channels are out there, right? And then you know what you need to do to make Coverhound successful. So we're not just telling you what not to do. We're also telling you what you should do. And this goes back to this. It was earlier this week when we talked about the 200 million raised by Better.com, right? This is a mortgage originator, digital mortgage originator type of company, where it's partnering with insurance companies to offer home insurance. They do good. These carriers do good, right? That should be the mindset. The mindset shouldn't be, we have an agency base. We bought something. Let's feed the agency base what we just bought. We've seen that done in like early 2000. Let's do the hard work. The hard work is actually getting the digital customer, the one that's not loyal, right? But I mean, that's just a reality we live in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be following that for sure. It'll be interesting once the price tag comes out, if we can find out what that is. Did we ever find out what Aon paid for CoverWallet?
Well, I would say the kind of the low 3-digit something, right? I don't know, 200 million-ish.
Those are the rumors, 250, 230, 200.
But not a billion.
I wonder.
No, I don't think
Avi, this makes our conversation last week even more relevant. It wasn't 2.4 million for Assurance IQ. like every week, that just looks worse and worse.
They just sold Pramerica to I believe TCS, and the rumor that I heard was that ever since the Assurance IQ deal, Prudential is kind of putting all their digital transformation aspirations, with Assurance IQ. They're hoping that they will take them to the promised land, and they're cutting in other areas. Big mistake. Don't let pride kill you. I bet you can still get a refund. Like, if they really wanted, they would get a refund, but that's a different topic. And
I don't know. I don't think it works that way.
You can return in America. You can return almost anything and take advantage. That's what you need to do. And we from Prudential Assurance IQ, I think the next topic, of course, Lemonade, discussing their term life insurance, a new product, again fits our description of the company when we wrote about this several times. Still, want to stay pretty and not get dirty. And someone said that they're going to launch auto insurance, and that's what they said. But I read the transcript, and it seems that really wasn't what they said. Someone else asked a question, so you will also launch auto insurance? And then they said, well, we first launch term life insurance. So from that, they figured that they will go with auto insurance. Still, as I said, like, really going with those lines of business that don't require much. So what do you think about this? Are they going to solve the life insurance problem in the United States?
No. I mean, it's a good move. Like, if you have a customer that's paying money for something, why not? They're buying renter's insurance. Hey, do you have a dog? You do. Would you like pet insurance? Okay, great. By the way, do you want to buy $1 million of term life insurance? Sure. Okay, great. Put your credit card in. Let's go. They have them there. It's an easy, not an easy cross sell. It's easy to make the cross sell pitch. They'll get some of that business. It's low hanging fruit. Will they do anything to change life insurance? No. Shefi, disagree with me. Let's make this controversial.
Okay, let's make this controversial. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously room to do something fun and Lemonade Life, and it makes sense. It makes sense again because of the of how they want to continue and process claims as much as automated as possible. Obviously, pet insurance are a little bit of hiccups over there because there are a lot more claims than there are in renter's insurance, right? Yeah.
Well,
they could do group
Shefi, they're a broker.
They are a broker, right? Yes.
Okay, so this is not their product. This is going to be someone else's product. That's another aspect to this, Avi, is it's someone else's product. Like, will there be no medical exam? Probably not. They're probably going to have the same things. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's someone else's product.
Well, so Ethos, for example, and Bestow, they have actually Ethos just launched 2 new products that take even the no medical exam even a little further, and Bestow did the same. Still, these companies are struggling to acquire customers at a cost-effective way. Now, from my understanding of what Lemonade is going to do, they will represent a company, but it seems like by the way they talk about it that they're not really going to make this their flagship product. They're going to try to promote it within their customer base, but I don't see them going now and having billboards of life insurance, because again, this is not a stupid company. They've stuck with renters, made everybody go crazy just because they knew of the cost of acquisition, because they had no competition there, and they still barely have any competition. And you're seeing with pet, they launched with pet. Obviously, there's a lot more competition in pet. And by the way, 40%, if I read correctly, 40% of the people that bought pet insurance were new customers. So you would think with all the millennials they have, almost 1 million policyholders by now, you would see a bigger number of people buying from their customer base. But keep in mind, there's a company called Google, and they have a Gmail. And when you send that email, they usually hide it in the promotions. And when it's in the promotions, I don't get a notification about it. And people are not engaged with Lemonade. And it's actually funny. And we rank on Google's first page when you search cancel Lemonade insurance. And you know what happens when Lemonade sends emails? There's a spike in cancellations, because you know why? People are saying, oh boy, I still have this renter's insurance. I'm still paying for it. Good thing they reminded me. Let's cancel. That is what happens. If they take the approach of leading with life insurance, I think that would be a mistake, because again, this is not a product where you're going to tell people, oh, because it's cool, have it. This is a purchase. It's a long sales cycle. It could take weeks, months, years. And really, who is the customer, the profile? If this is going to be someone 45 with some health issues, asking for over $1 million, he's probably going to need a medical exam. So I get what they're doing. They're trying to please, investors. They're trying to squeeze as much as possible and get it. I know a lot of people from the industry are like putting their hopes up, thinking Lemonade is going to solve the life insurance problem. They're not. But I bet for other companies that are struggling, trying to compete, this is not great news. I think this is not great news for Bestow, for Ethos. They're going to have more competition, and
it's. I think to me, Avi, this reminds me of our conversation with Pet Plan, right? It's through that sales cycle, Lemonade is not going to be able to say, hey, here's 5 different variations of renter's insurance. oh, you want pet insurance? Here's 5 different variations of that. Oh, you want life insurance? Here's 5 different they're not going to be able to do that.
No,
Like their
important.
thing is streamline, right? So it's going to be a bare bones, basic product, very simple to sell. So from a pet plan doesn't worry about them because pet plan already knows we're a premier product. So we're marketing towards, what do they call them? Pet parents, or is that right?
Pet parents,
Pet
yeah,
Pet parents, and they're saying everyone else is pet owners, right? So like when I like Bestow and Ethos, right? Like I think that traditional life companies can get more creative because that's what they're going to focus on. So they can do different types of term, different bells and whistles. Other outside get out of term and go into whole life or variable, whatever, with medical exam, without like they can get really creative if they wanted to. They just have to go through a different distribution market to be able to execute on that. Like, so you can't go mass market with that. It's too complex. So to me, the lemonade thing makes a lot of sense. But if I were on the life insurance side, I wouldn't worry. It's just we got to execute in a different way, not their way.
I think for Ethos and Bestow, and they've discovered this later than Ladder. They're now going after agents. Ethos is actually being very creative with agents, and they're promising them free leads if they sell a certain amount of policies, which they're kind of utilizing these agents as their independent call center where they don't really have to pay. So I think it's a smart move. But they're struggling for distribution. It's a product that lacks awareness, not because people don't know that life insurance is important. Because guess what? People are getting married later. They're not having as many kids as they used to. Wake up, face reality. You're not going to change that, and no one is going to buy life insurance for student debt unless he's a really good person. Most people will not do that.
I just saw an ad, I think, for Ethos. Right. So you talk about your conventional life insurance ad with, a mom and a dad and a kid. Right. But this was for, I'm Erica. I'm a homeowner and I buy life insurance for my mom.
So
that's the thing. They don't do that.
Well,
and
here's a play here. Ethos or Bestow that kind of focus on life insurance. They can go to all of Lemonade's competitors and say, plug us in. Lemonade is offering life insurance. Plug our product in and we will pay you, right? Now that is when you have someone that's buying homeowners or something else, and there's a chance to, take a mutual, right? Yeah. Someone is actually trying to sell through a mutual or some online digital application, and there's an opportunity. Hey, would you like to buy life insurance? $1 million of coverage for $100 a year, making something up. And they can plug their product in. Like, that's probably the approach I would take, is Lemonade can only service them, but theoretically, another life insurer can go to all of Lemonade's competitors and say, you want to do what they're doing? Plug us in.
We talked about this, and we say life insurance companies, wherever you can stick your product, go for it. Agents, online, whatever it is, you have to, because really.
I have an idea. Well, it's your idea. Can I share it?
Yeah.
Mine or his?
His.
Okay.
I have a lot of ideas.
But most of them I like. Avi came up with this idea that you should create a life insurance product that bundles in pet insurance.
That could
I will
be
let
it.
that sink in. And
yeah,
that's a great way to compete with. I mean, we don't know how big Lemonade Life thingy is going to be, but it's.
Well, think about the relevancy. If you're attracted to pet insurance, right, and you dangle this bundled piece, they're already thinking about mortality, just something else. I don't know. It could warm the spirits and just say, well, if I'm taking care of them, I should take care of the rest of my family, or vice versa. Like, I'm with you guys. Like,
and something?
Yeah.
I think even I think because in my opinion, life insurance is even term life. Like, you do it usually. Most people, the peasants, the poor people like me, we'll do this probably once in a lifetime, and we don't mind comparing, taking the time to make sure we got the right product. Now, I see this even as where you have you have an accident and your car is bust and they give you a rental car. Maybe there's a way to give some kind of supplemental coverage for now. Just take it. It's not going to save you for your life, but while you compare, at least have this like very basic coverage, very simple, maybe 250,000, 500,000. Like, try to sell that and say, just have that for now. It's going to cost you $10 a month. Go for it while we maybe help you compare, or while you take your time to compare other products. And then if you want to make it, a bigger amount, go for it. It really is a challenging product. And, we talked about this. You have to look at really at the changing landscape, and also the financial advisors, where you're now, graduating from college and you're bringing them to call their family and friends to sell life insurance. Most of their friends are not married. They're out of college. They're looking for a job. So the whole process is broken. Of course, these life insurance companies, Mass Mutual, Northwestern Mutual, they don't care. They'll keep on recruiting, and they have many recruiters. I think Northwestern Mutual has more recruiters than Policy Genius employees, or something very close to that number. That's their recruiting company. That's really what they are. They're not selling life insurance. They're a recruiting company. Forget Jacobson Online, forget all these companies. Just go to Northwestern Mutual. They'll get you whatever talent you want quickly. That's what they do. They're very good at that. And, it is a very challenging product. But again, maybe Lemonade will come up with some creative way. I doubt it, but because I don't believe.
That's our job, to analyze them and predict the next one.
We'll keep an eye. And then, did you get the turkey from Whole Foods, the turkey Thanksgiving insurance? Did you get that?
What's your idea?
Are you buying from Whole Foods? It was my idea. Yeah,
it was your idea.
I laughed at it. I didn't know if that was real or not. Is that real?
For sure.
Oh yeah, it's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy from Whole Foods just because of that, like, to know. And I'm going to have a claim. I'm going to tell you right now, because I come from my wife. She's maybe second, third generation of overcookers. They want to make sure it's properly cooked. They want to kill it again. I don't know what it is, but this is what I live with, and I'm going to get a free turkey.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I don't even know what to do with that. I think we should have your wife on as a guest at some point, because I have to meet her.
She wouldn't like that, but
I know.
she wouldn't like me saying that she's an overcooker. She's trying to be better. But it's not easy.
You called her mother an overcooker too. You said second, third generation.
Yeah. Well, it starts with her dad. Her dad, he's the overcooker. But I can understand why. I get it. It's not easy.
Yeah, I'm not buying turkey insurance. I'm a good cooker, so I'll get it right somehow. But we'll be following Lemonade. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer move. And Shefi, to your point, if anyone does this, I will get very upset. They should be selling life insurance in auto. Like, come on, like, wherever you can put it in. Auto's now auto.
Yeah. People do, yeah.
And they're trying to get a lot of. They're saying the opportunity is to get PNC agencies to try to want to sell more life insurance, but they look at it as kind of like a one-time commission, because usually there are no like meaningful residuals. So they're saying, well, forget it. I don't want to get into it. It's really a long sales cycle, and you need the medical exam in most cases if you need the proper coverage. But agencies, they do have the power, digital agencies as well. And I think it's a good move for life insurance. I bet you they're going to look at it, and really, I think many will hope that Lemonade will fix life insurance, but it's not going to be fixed.
No, but it's a good move.
Yeah.
Before we move to the next topic, they announced that move with their earnings report. They're still pouring gasoline on cash and lighting it on fire. So
yeah. No,
I don't even. We don't have to talk about that, but it's like still losing a lot of money. So
yeah.
It's stuff like that where it's just you guys got me sold. Customer acquisition costs. I just don't see how they're going to get it under control. competing against Progressive and State Farm and all. Like at the end of the day, you can't compete with how much money they can throw at advertising and marketing. So it's a big problem across the industry, but I'm sure we're going to keep talking about that. So what's the third and final topic? Was there a third and final topic?
I think that's it, right? I mean, yeah.
They weren't that important.
Well, I think that's what we learned here, customer acquisition. It's becoming the end all and be all between Coverhound and Lemonade. I think we're just going to keep coming back to that. That's what I think about all day long. You guys have like completely brainwashed me.
I think, a good product, if you really build a good product, you can solve a big part of your distribution. Like if you have a good product, people will come. Really, if you could stand out,
well,
people will come.
Can I add to that? Because I agree with that. I think it has to be a good product and a very much differentiated product. Because then I think you have the capacity to market it, right? Like you can explain differences and stuff like that, right? A good product by itself, well, if you're competing against other good products, I think there's still a struggle. And how do you get through the noise? Somehow you got to get through that noise and get people's attention to be able to do that. That's all.
And again, and insurance still, we say this all the time. You're never ever going to change the product. Like, don't talk to me about the quote process as the product. That's not the product. You make it simple, but again, if you're more expensive, then I'm going to send faxes if I need to find savings. I'm even thinking of taking the defensive driving course to save $62. That's what I'm thinking about. Do you know that Geico has a welcome team? I switched to Geico, and the next day they call me, the Geico welcome team, and the representative was so nice. I went for the quote online. I get one price. I called him on the phone because I couldn't understand one thing, and he's like, "Oh, let me find you some credits." He found me some credits, another $150 off. People will do things to find savings when they don't understand why they need to pay more, and unless you can build a very special product, then forget about it. Focus on the distribution,
or a very special service. And that's really the point, is because go differentiate online. It's really hard to differentiate product. But if you leave somebody with a good experience, and of course, the digital carriers of the world are doing this as the incumbents, right? There are tons of good stories about Geico reps and Progressive reps. And there's, the opposite is also true. So a mixture of a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, I'm for that.
But obviously distribution all starts with distribution.
Yeah. Well, these products don't have a lot of margin to begin with. So you start to kind of run through some of the economics of it. It's like, even if they can get the customer acquisition costs under control, right? What else are you bringing to the table?
Oh boy.
For them.
Let's first get to the place where they do. I mean, I want to see. I mean, even if you think like Lemonade well, you think about the amount of money that they've raised, how much money they used to get to a point where they're breaking even, or they may have some profit. And what competitive advantage do you have at the end of the day? What is the difference? What is the difference? And that's something that you cannot understand. And again, Lemonade were in a space that they really didn't have competition. Not many competed with them. They didn't go after that target market. Lemonade has this like, oh, graduation. It's a bullshit. They're lying. It's not true. That's what they're selling. But when you look at really car insurance, then, this is where the game starts. And you look at Root, how much money they spent. And, Geico and Progressive, of course, they can afford it. So why not? But because they have that loyal customer base, like we saw this week an article from B2Z, and one of the guys there, he's with his insurance company since he got his license. That's loyalty. I doubt that they make people like that. They don't make people like that anymore. The modern, the millennial, the Gen Z, we didn't grow up with brands. We don't have enough money to justify to just stick with a company and not switch. And that's one of the struggles. Yeah.
AP Indigo, right? So I interviewed Steve, right? He's one of the co-founders over there, and there are other companies that you're going to be loyal to before you think of InsurTech. And I spoke with a different friend this week, and he was talking about an accelerator, and he said that this accelerator is fintech first. And I said, this is exactly the issue with InsurTech. InsurTech is always going to come last. First we're going to look at better.com. Maybe we're going to look at Acorns. Maybe we're going to look at our, what the work site benefits are going to offer us. And after all of this, there's going to be a brand, an insurance brand. And it's really hard to call it a brand, but let's say that it is, because there's a promise over there to pay a claim, right? So that's the fundamental issue. No InsurTech has solved it. No InsurTech will solve it. If you accept that, and then your life becomes a lot easier.
I'm with you. Yeah. I've, and this has been very, very recent. All of a sudden, I'm just like, I just don't see how they solve this problem. Like, I don't see anything they're bringing to the table that actually solves this problem.
And I want to say,
they brought to the table personality.
And
they
let me tell you something.
They really did.
They did. Lemonade and Root brought personality, but I saw your Twitter exchange.
InsurTechs are bringing personality. Yeah. No, it's InsurTech versus incumbents. Incumbents,
I
don't know where they are. It's come on, look at Brown and Brown. Go to their website. What do you get? We acquired 23 or 26 companies in last year. What else are you giving me? They're not giving you much to feel what the company stands for. So after Lemonade, everybody's talking about charity. We've all been doing charity for the entire life of this industry. We lack storytelling. That's what we have a problem with.
100%. Yeah. No, there's no doubt. Go ahead, Avi.
And I want to tell you one last thing. I saw your Twitter exchange with Branch. And they were talking about APIs and Cover and Gabby suffering because they don't have good connections and APIs. A person coming from EverQuote, and I know EverQuote sends traffic to Branch, they're not here for instant. They're here to compare. So they want to see different options, or they're going to take their time to find different options. So don't believe that it's about API instant, because if it was instant, then ClearCover would be a succeeding company, and Root will do just like that. When Allstate tells you go talk to an agent, it's not about instant. There's only, I think I said this in the past, only one brand that does instant well. That's Instant Coffee. That's the only success you have with instant, nothing else. Insurance is not instant, and it really is about the price, unless you can bring something else to the equation, but that's not technology.
Yeah. I don't think I can say it better than that. I think price is such a driving factor. You have to bring something else to the table. I just don't see any way around it. It's got to be, and I'll add this. The stuff that these InsurTechs are going after is the stuff that already exists. I will salute Lemonade a little bit, because they are getting new renters, new pet owners to come in. Great. The industry needs new premium, right? Like, anything you build that takes business away from someone that's already got the business, they're going to try to figure out a way to get that business back. And then it's the last 50 years, we're just swapping business, trading it back and forth. You take it for 3 years, I take it back for 3 years. You lower your price, you take it for 3 years. Like, that's the thing that is just like, the margins are already so thin. So if you can't get your customer acquisition costs under control, it's not going to work. Like, you have to bring so much more to the table. And the Allstates and the Geicos, like, when I heard that the Allstate, like, the lifetime value is 6 times the customer acquisition cost, I was talking to an insurance professional last night, and he's just like, you can't compete with that. How do you compete with that? Like, they'll have so much resources to throw at this problem. The other companies will just struggle with it. And so we're going to keep talking about this. Shefi, it was awesome to have you back.
Good to be back.
Your hair looks awesome. Looks great. You are the Lady Gaga of insurance.
Oh my God. I get that often.
So awesome time, guys. As usual, I appreciate it. For Shefi, for Avi, I'm Nick. This is This Week in Coverager. Happy weekend. Happy next week, everyone. So until next time, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.